All right, before we start, I've got to read a thing to you all. Safety warning. Welcome to Bootleg Bomber. This event involves the use of industrial equipment by trained professionals. Do not, under any circumstances, try this at home. During the event, and in particular in the event of an emergency, compliance with the convention safety staff is essential and required. Finally, photographs are encouraged, but audio and video recording of this event, except by authorized convention representatives, is prohibited. There, now that's done.
Yay!
Right, so I'm going to stall for just a little bit, see if Greg can pop in here before we go into some of the details. Yes, what is the clarification question?
So, photos are allowed, video is not?
Photos are allowed, video and audio is not.
Okay.
Correct.
What if we took enough photos, that would be a stop motion.
I mean, that's not audio. So...
Well, if you could take that many photos and do a stop motion, I think that'll be fine.
Okay.
And then we come and I see it.
I know, right?
All right, so I'm going to stall a little bit for time. As Rob so nicely did a little bit ago, gave a little bit of an overview of the event, but I'm going to go over it just a little bit more detail. And then, if Greg is still not here by the time I finish with that, we'll jump into some of the explanations, and then, hopefully, he will get here for the main event. Right, so we, one of the things, when we started this convention back in 2011, yeah, because it was on an odd year, one of the things that we really wanted to do is actually, Greg used to do a bootleg panel at other conventions, Animaine Boston in particular, and some of the founding members of the convention and myself had gone to it, and it was the first time we really, like, I didn't know what I knew what a bootleg was in, like, vaguely, but I never really knew what it was in relation to anime, or the fact that that there's all this bootleg merchandise out there, and exactly what it meant for the industry itself. And so when we started to make the convention, one of the things we really wanted it to be is to be a very industry-oriented convention where you can find more about how the industry works, you can find about all this different stuff, and we're here to really support the industry, because if the industry isn't supported, we don't get more anime, and that would be really awful. And so, and it's an interesting story, and I'm sure Greg would love to tell this, but he's not here, so I'm going to tell it instead of him. The first year, we wanted Greg to come because we knew this was a thing we were going to do, and it was something he'd always talked about. And so, about the week before the first Animaine, Greg called me up, and he wanted to let me know that, you know, he was still coming, everything was all good, but he's just had a really, like, rough couple of weeks, and he was not going to be super energetic, and he was just kind of down, but he wanted to let me know he was still going to come, and it was all going to be good. And what I told him was, well, if it makes you feel any better, we've rented a steamroller. And I guess from at the moment I said those words, he was all pumped up and juiced to get here, because we had a steamroller. And that was our first Bootleg Bomber event, where we did the steamroller. If you go on YouTube, you can still find some footage of it, of just Greg riding a steamroller over some bootlegs. It was really fun. Anyways, that was also, I'm just going to say, I thought it was a great event to do. The rest of the staff thought I was crazy. and here we are, 9 years later, doing the 9th Bootleg Bomber event.
Don't worry, Colin, you're still crazy.
It's actually the 8th Bootleg Bomber.
No, it would be the 9th
It is the
Bootleg
9th.
Bomber.
Yes, it is.
Math.
You include 2011.
No, it's 9.
Oh, it's 9.
It's 9 years later.
It's 9.
You include the first year.
I'm tired and I haven't slept in a week.
Sleep is
So-
for the weak.
Some of the things we've done over the years, as we mentioned and people called out a bit earlier, first year was the steamroller. Second year, we made a giant piñata and filled it with candy, and then just beat it up. We made it out of bootlegs, so then we destroyed it. Third year was Will It Blend? I got a Blendtec blender, and we absolutely destroyed that blender.
There was stuff that got stuck to that.
Oh yeah, no, like the DVDs and stuff fused to the inside of that blender. Sorry, I got distracted there. Blender. Then the fourth year was dangerous because I believe we went out into the parking lot and just had a big old fire.
Yeah, bonfire. Blowtorch.
The blowtorch, you were burning stuff. It was those like weird plasticky posters you get, bootleg posters. Were just going green, and it was fun stuff. And then we probably all died from fume inhalation. Then the fifth year, we deep fried a whole bunch of bootlegs, battered them up, deep fried them.
That was my first year.
It smelled so good, but it was very poisonous. And 2016, we built a giant city out of bootlegs and had a robot come and destroy them. 2017, we did liquid nitrogen, which was a real fun one. I've been wanting to do that for quite a while. And 2018, I had an electric arc furnace that we melted some of those bootleg Kingdom Hearts keychains you would get. And now we're at 2019, and we got something here. But I also just brought more liquid nitrogen because why not?
Colin, I did actually just check the city being destroyed. That actually was 2015.
Oh, that was 2015.
Yeah.
So 2016 was the deep frying.
Yep.
All right. I had it backwards. I have too many animates in my head.
Too many animaines. Too many.
All right. So I've stalled for. They're here. They're coming.
Are you sure?
Are you sure about that?
Yes, I am. So.
Turn around and stare.
Anyways, that's all the. That's every bootleg bomber up to now, and every year we're gonna do. We do a little quick educational portion of the panel, which will be this first thing, where I'll tell you what a bootleg is, why you shouldn't be buying them, even though they're cheap. Why you should be buying them, both for yourself and for others, and we'll just be talking about all of that, and then we'll talk about how to identify them, and then we will get into the cool stuff. Yes?
Maybe one of the reasons why people buy them is I've actually heard that there's actually kind of like a collection for bootlegs, not like the newer ones, but like the older ones.
Like they do the whole thing at once? Like,
No, like they're like I've heard like the older ones are kind of being like a little valuable.
well, because value is just what will people pay for something they want. So,
That's what I've heard.
So when Greg walks in, just like everyone should just like look at him and just be like,
Y'all not be silent.
I know they're here. They're in the building. So
Greg is in the building.
we'll see where they come. We'll see when they get here.
Yeah, it's like almost like a drum roll.
Well, no, the thing is that.
I like the shame idea.
Shame.
I need a bell if you change it, you need a bell. I see
What do you see in the hallway?
And the
What do
clicker
you see? Oh, he's coming. He's coming. Oh, okay.
Greg's not here. Let's all say really nice things about him behind his back.
Yeah. Or when he walks in, we just pretend he's not here. The entire
Let's just
time.
keep going.
My room, the glaring part.
Yes.
I like the
Wrong door, bro.
Slowly rolling.
I'm just gonna stand here.
Every single time he passes by a row, that
door closed, and I'll just like. Just gonna like shoot.
We can do that.
I told him I was in the wrong room. He's coming.
It's Molly's fault. She sent him to the wrong room.
Yeah.
It's always Molly's fault.
No, it's never Molly's fault.
It's Greg's fault.
Greg, where's Greg?
He's working on it. He accidentally got sent to the wrong room.
Oh.
He's very brilliant.
Yeah, he's always
You know what? A fun thing about liquid nitrogen is it's very cheap.
There's this candy from liquid nitrogen. If you eat it, like, it's like some candy.
Yeah, I'm not.
What happens if you drink liquid nitrogen?
You would probably get injured, and you should not do that ever.
No, you would turn into Frosty the Snowman.
On the inside.
Then you have your mom pour hot water on your face, it'll become totally okay.
I'm not gonna
Can you give me some liquid nitrogen for a project?
I think you mean Okio.
What would happen if you slapped? What happens if you took liquid
roasted by your
nitrogen
dad and Zuko.
You would die.
and injected liquid nitrogen
I love
right into your veins?
No, I think that's a bad idea.
Colin, can you give me some liquid nitrogen I need for a project?
Maybe we
Nope.
chant his
What,
name.
how about we just talk? What season, what anime season are you looking forward to next year? I am looking forward to Agretsuko season 3.
I just started watching that.
I
so-
thought the second season was okay, but I hated the character Titano. I'm just saying, thank God Retsuko broke up with that.
Oh,
Yeah.
I just heard.
I got it. Maybe if we say his name 3 times, he'll appear.
Greg Ayers. Greg Ayers. Greg Ayers.
Greg Ayers.
Greg Ayers.
Greg Ayers. Greg Ayers.
And something pops up.
Well, I tried.
We could always go with the Greg chant.
You guys didn't believe
The
her.
Greg chant? Oh, that might be doing that for a while.
Brennan, maybe we should just like know him and learn him.
So, I know Rob already did it again, but who is their first bootleg bomber that they've ever bought? Ooh, quite a few. How many people just came here for no reason versus how many people had people tell them they had to come here?
I was dragged here. Against your will.
I came here for no reason to have fun.
All I read was that it was like a thing.
This is the main event that is real fun. It's real cool that we're all awesome
I don't
here.
like fun. It's coarse and rough. You should get the shame box. It's a nice little fun box.
Everyone say his name. Greg. 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 Greg.
No. We don't know how long you'll be doing that.
You just hear people chanting Greg for like right down the line.
We can go for a while.
Oh yeah, but I don't want you to.
You're not my real dad.
As far as Endeavor.
So,
We can listen to the JoJo torture dance.
no. So, I'm running out of questions here to start with.
No, you would be surprised. People can't get lost.
Do you remember when you bought? Here's a question. Do you remember when you bought your first bootleg?
Do I remember when I bought my first bootleg?
Yeah.
No, because whenever I bought my first bootleg, I didn't know what bootlegs were, so it wouldn't have been something I remembered. If I think back to what it might have been, I mean, it was obviously something Evangelion related, but it was probably a wall scroll. It was either a wall scroll or a set of Trigun DVDs that I bought and didn't understand what bootlegs were at the time. But I think it was probably an Evangelion wall scroll.
What's the difference between what's on the bootleg DVD?
I'll
he'll get into
talk
that.
more about that once Greg gets here.
Yeah, it's a key.
Sometimes.
I have the key.
No, wait, why would they make bootleg umbrellas?
Oh, people will do bootleg anything they can get money from.
So I can bootleg someone's soul?
Well, I mean, if people could, they would, I'm sure. Anything people will buy. I'm gonna just get this started a little bit. And Greg, I'm sure will run in very shortly. Maybe if I start it, he'll sense it. Yes?
Since we have a lot of newbies in this room, why don't you tell us about about yourself and how you started Animaine.
Well, I already talked a little bit about that, but I'll do a quick introduction. So while I continue to stall for Greg, hello everybody.
Hi, Colin.
My name is Colin Harvey. I am one of the co-chairs of Animaine this year, and I'm one of the original founding members of the convention. I mentioned a little bit earlier that we started it because we really wanted to make an anime convention where we could learn more about the industry and do stuff to help support the industry and all sorts of stuff like that. And I'm doing it for 9 years. This is the 9th Animaine. So next year is going to be the 10th year anniversary, which will be cool. I already know what we're doing for Bootleg Bomber next year. So.
Nice.
Anyways, that's who I am. I really like Evangelion, which will become apparent as we go through all of the example bootlegs that I still have. And that's who I am. And now I'm gonna just kind of start the panel now. Okay, why are people asking so many questions? No, it's good. Yes.
I just want to know, what was the last anime you watched?
Okay, the last anime I watched was the second episode of The Hero is Overcautious but Overpowered but Overcautious. I don't remember. It's a very long title. But it's on Funimation. It's streaming right now, and I'm having a real fun time with it. So, I'm going to just roll into the panel now, and Greg will walk in at some point, hopefully very soon.
I'll send him a Morse code.
So, bootlegs. That's what we're here to talk about. Who knows what a bootleg is? Who knows what a bootleg is and hasn't been to a Bootleg Bomber? Way in the back there.
I know. Are you asking me to describe what a bootleg is?
I'm asking you to give me a definition.
A definition?
A definition of a bootleg.
A bootleg is a recreation of something that is normally made licensed that can be then resold for way cheaper. And the only reason I know what it is because I worked at Bull Moose and I caught a bunch of them when people were trying to sell them to me.
Yeah, so basically, she said a bootleg is any piece of merchandise, any set of DVDs, stuff like that, that has been made by someone who does not own the rights to that material. So it can actually, either can be a recreation or it can be something completely new, but they've taken the licensed characters from it and just put them on there and are just basically, they're just making it to use that property's fame and following to sell. And they're bad. But they're also usually very cheap, which is how people end up buying them. But so now, can anyone tell me why they're bad? That hasn't been to a Bootleg Bomber, because we tell you all the way on the end there in the red.
They're bad because like they can take away like I don't know, like money or like recognition from like actual like the artists like creating.
Yeah, more or less. One of the main reasons bootlegs are such a problem is that every time you buy an actual DVD, a portion of that money may not necessarily go back to the artists themselves, because sometimes, okay, let me get back to some of that. When you buy an officially licensed DVD that supports that property or that show, and whether that's like through a monetary value that trickles down to the original artist, or because the company that currently owns it will then pay the artist to make more of it. That's how shows get renewed. If there's a show you really like and no one is buying any of the merchandise or any of the DVDs or anything to it, then there's no reason for the company that produces it to renew it for another season. And yeah, so that's one of the main reasons, is that any of the money that goes into bootlegs does not go to the actual show or the creators. And another reason that's a problem is where the money does go, it ends up going, a lot of the times it can go to fund terrorist organizations and just a whole bunch of really shady places. So that's when you're not just not supporting the show's creators, you're supporting some really terrible people. And that's just something you want to kind of keep in mind when you see how cheap things are. But in addition to that, what's another reason why bootlegs are kind of not good? That hasn't been to Bootleg Bomber. The hand way in the back there. Yes.
Because they're usually pretty cheap quality.
Yes, they're not only are they cheap money-wise, they are very cheap quality-wise. They're not made very well because if you want to get something, if you want to make the most money off of something, you want to make it for as cheap as possible. And when you make something for as cheap as possible, you end up using really crappy materials, anything to just make it so you can finish it and get it out and just start making money off of it. I've got some examples up here that are pretty nice to look at. See, this is a CD set. As I said, I love Evangelion, so I really wanted this CD set. It's a really neat set where they had a whole bunch of other artists do their or their covers of all the different background music from Evangelion. However, I didn't know this at the time that I bought this, but this is a 7 CD set. Now, can you see how thick this is? There are 7 CDs in here. The official one actually comes in a cube where each CD is in its own jewel case. This one came in this, and see here if I open it, there's not even spaces for all the discs in here. 3 CDs fell out of this just now. Look, I couldn't have planned that better. So things are made like very cheaply, whatever, but it's not just, sometimes, another thing to keep in mind is that sometimes the cheaper materials are not safe. There's a super, really worrisome story about some plushies. And if you've been to Bootleg Bomber, you know this story, but say you have a plushie and you want to fill it with something. What's like a cheap kind of fluffy material you could fill your, and not if you've been to Bootleg Bomber, because that's cheating. Anyone who hasn't been to Bootleg Bomber, what's a cheap fluffy material you could maybe substitute fluff for?
Insulation.
Yes, fiberglass insulation. And fiberglass insulation, I don't know about you, but when I was a child, I could go up into my attic and there was exposed insulation there, and my parents always yelled at me if I ever tried to touch it. And that's because fiberglass insulation has a lot of glass fibers in it, because that's the name. And those can get like embedded in your hands, one. But also like a plushie, like if you fill that plushie with that, that's gonna be bad. And if you give like a child that plushie, because why wouldn't you? Like a really young child is gonna be chewing on it and putting it in their mouth and all sorts of real bad stuff. And one of the things that happened with that also is when they get bootleg materials and when they seize bootleg items, one of the things that happens is that they have to dispose of them. And one of the easiest ways to dispose of a bunch of plushies would be, and if you've been at Bootleg Bomber, you can answer, fine.
Burning it.
Shout it out. Fire! And you know what doesn't burn like fluff wood? Fiberglass. It just basically puts it now into the air, and you'll start inhaling all those glass fibers. So a lot of people who attended a burning of a bunch of these suddenly had all these respiratory and health problems because they'd just been inhaling fiberglass. And so that's one of the other things, is that sometimes the much cheaper material can be bad for you. It can be poisonous, and you don't know. You're just buying it. Anyone else have any other reason why bootlegs are bad? Cool. I'm sure there are others, but I couldn't think of any, and just wanted to make sure I wasn't forgetting anyone. So let's go into a way of how do you identify some bootlegs. And we'll do this by item type, because there are various different ways you can do it depending on what it is. So Let's go with one of the common ones, DVDs. Who knows a way, and if you've been to Bootleg Bomber, you can answer. Who knows what is a good way to tell if a DVD is bootleg? Fine.
Yes! It will actually have the copyright information. It's somewhere on the product.
Yes, and this is the most useful bit of information, not just for DVDs, but almost every single licensed product. And I say almost, like, by almost I don't really mean almost. If it's not on there, it was a mistake from when they printed it, but everything that's licensed will have the copyright information somewhere on it. And that's one of the main ways you can tell. Now, unfortunately, sometimes a real smart bootlegger will put their own copyright on it, which is a problem I ran into with these really cool Digimon cases. But yeah, no, that was not real. So yeah, the copyright information is one of the main ways you can tell whether or not something is bootleg. What's another way?
Greg!
Wow, y'all sound as tired as I am. Yay!
Talking about how to identify.
Make sure that microphone's on.
Oh, it's on.
It's still fighting with you.
It's still, I know, like.
The wireless
So
one is.
where are we at?
We're
stuff
talking
are we
about how to
talking about?
identify DVDs.
The wireless mic is on.
So how would
Mine
you
is on.
like? Have you gone over, done the telltale signs of a bootleg?
With them, we just talked about copyright and how that's the super
Yeah.
important thing in all cases.
So I think DVDs are the thing that most of us got ripped off on first. Who's gotten a DVD that you found out later was totally garbage?
Yep.
I was gonna say I brought one too.
Same here.
Yeah. So like, what were the things that you figured out made it garbage? Yeah.
The cases, like the covers and the cases don't line up.
Yeah. And there was a real specific look. Do we have? Where's that Ranma DVD? Do you?
That's mine.
No, I brought one too. So there's two of them.
You entertain them. I'll go and grab them.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Like so, most of the original Hong Kong bootlegs and. Somebody got real upset that I kept saying Hong Kong bootleg. That's where most of the old bootlegs came from. They were, well, anyway, I'm just gonna pretend this is that little sound from Heredity, and it's like making it creepier. Anyway, so that's the possessed microphone. Here we go. But see, it's possessed. I've angered the spirits. So like, fuck you. Anyway, Hello. So you watch. Off. See, it's this thing. It's the wireless. Wait.
You want to turn that one on?
Turn channel 3 down, and we don't have that. Let's see. Wait, we may have done it. Okay. Yeah. See, Mariah taught me that trick. Yeah. F you, channel 3. Yeah, they all had a real specific look, and the first thing that was a giveaway was that garbage cardboard gatefold thing. It like opened and opened and opened and opened, and the other thing was it had a hard shell plastic case. Colin's gonna go get one, but there's some other telltale signs too. What are some other things that you would see on those boxes that would be a giveaway? Yeah.
Coloration issues.
Now that's interesting. There's a case of a soundtrack. The legitimate one has the shabbier printing job, and the bootleg, I did it. I turned channel 3 down, and it shut up. I was like, I learn. You would think I work with microphones for a living. I was like, wait, Mariah told me, screw channel 3, let's just get this. And that was it, and it went away. But it did a show for us first. But yeah, like, so sometimes the print job is not an indicator because like I think it's the Oh My Goddess soundtrack. The actual legitimate copy has like a more faded look and the bootleg is like vibrant. But sometimes if you know what you're looking for, you'll see weird art. In this case, there are characters on this cover of Evangelion that are not in Evangelion at all. Who's an Evangelion fan? Who's like aside from Colin? Okay, come here. Like, can you name the characters on the cover of this Evangelion DVD, for instance?
Yeah.
Here we go. Watch.
Let's see. Asuka, Shinji, Masato, and then Mary Sue.
This WTF in the middle.
Yeah.
There is a character that is bigger than all of the other characters. Hold it up so they can see it. That is not from the show. Like she's, yeah, like she's actually pulled. Somebody even figured out she's pulled from another show. So like, someone photoshopped her. It's a key show, right? Yeah, it's one of the key shows. I mean, she looks like a key character too. So yeah, there are telltale signs in the printing. One of the ones that I was thinking of, I'm surprised nobody said. Is anybody? Yeah.
Wrong hair color?
No, I mean that's printing. That's indifference, or like different variation. What else?
Flipped images.
Flipped images. We've seen somewhere the copyright images are a mirror image, so it's like read backwards. So yeah, flipped images. There's some other real super telltale signs. Yeah.
I bought one once that I didn't realize until afterwards didn't have the official DVD video symbol.
Yeah. Oh, that's the biggest way you can catch is like copyright and trademark symbols. If you think that you would ever find anything with Full Metal Alchemist on it that doesn't either have Funimation or Anaplex's logo, you are high. Like, that's like thinking you could have anything Hello Kitty without Sanrio on it. Like, it's just never gonna happen. So yeah, official marks are the first thing we always look for. But there's one, yeah, in the back, yeah.
This is not the one you were thinking of, but the wrong description is on
Oh. There is the weirdest copy of the Wallflower, and I almost bought it, and I shouldn't buy bootlegs, but it was someone confused the Wallflower and Beck Mongolian Chop Squad. So it says Harold. Wait, it's like because Sakauichi-san is the mangaka for Beck, but it's like Harold Nabishin something or another, and it wasn't either of their last names. Like it's not Watanabe. It's like the Wallflower, Mongolian Chop Squad, and it's Mongolian and not Mongolian. So I'm like, I might need to buy this just to see what, because who knows what the DVD is of. So yeah, I think those weird things fall back into this Evangelion category. Like, oh, did you pull the poster out? Pull the poster out, because the poster actually has a Pokemon on it. Two Pokemon, yeah. Let's see. Oh wait. Oh, did you see that?
Two DVDs.
Two DVD set. One of them comes in like a little garbage condom that you use for CDs. Yeah. Three DVDs. But there's a poster when you take the slipcover out. And again, Mary Sue is the biggest thing on this poster. Who can spot the Pokemon on there? Look, they're like.
What's the Pokemon?
Cresselia.
And you can only see part of.
Darkrai.
Yeah, in the corner.
Jigglypuff seen from above.
It's not Jigglypuff. I wish.
Also, just the art just on this is just
dreadful.
Real bad.
Dreadful. In fact, the back has got images from some of the Evangelion video games, which is not part of the show at all. The ones I was thinking of print-wise is how many of you ever seen an All Regions DVD? There are no such thing as legitimate, legal All Regions DVDs, not even in porn. They don't make region-free porn, for God's sakes. So, and somebody corrected me. Actually, Central Park Media, which is one of the older anime companies, did, but they did it on accident. So it wasn't meant to be region-free. Another is if you see multiple languages on a disc and doesn't have an American distributor on it. So if you see English language and it doesn't say Funimation, Sentai Filmworks, ADV, Right Stuff, who else? Central Park, Manga Core, Viz. Yeah, chances are you're definitely looking at some booty. That's a bootleg. Booty meaning bootleg, not booty as in bootylicious.
This also has the Blu-ray logo.
Oh, read the side though. That's the best. It's a Blu-ray, but the side of the box says
DVD 9. In full HD, 1080.
The disclaimer's the best.
Oh yeah, we should get somebody else to read this. Do you want to read it? You read it because you're better at it.
So this is the
copyright disclaimer.
The little copyright disclaimer at the bottom. Warning: please read To Just Warmong carefully before opening the sealed package. By Copenring, the licenses the film, including its soundtrack, comprised in this Kinetl Video Disc DVD, for sale and private home viewing only. All unauthorized use includes selling, relling, exporting Grubik, performance, broadcasting, and or trading any part of this copyright material without obtaining prior written licenses, and infringement of copyright violators will be prosecuted.
Yeah. Give that copywriter a job.
This is also filled with very weird punctuation errors. There are spaces and then commas and then it's very weird.
It's so funny. One of them said no. One of them was like no public viewing, including prison. And I was like, oh, thanks. I wasn't planning on that, but now I know I can't bring this with me to jail. Yeah, you see, read everything, because sometimes that's its own entertainment. Like, so yeah, who's got another telltale sign? There's one that, like, I'm hoping someone will say yeah in the front. Yeah.
Well, I don't know about that, but I found something interesting with these with bootlegs.
Oh yeah, we'll get to bootleg merchandise in a little bit. Who's got another DVD telltale sign? Yeah, I'm gonna go here and then there.
I don't know if you're still talking about the cover itself, but I know that like when you put the DVD in and it's like the cheapest menu.
Oh, yeah, it looks like somebody did the menu in MS Paint. Yeah. I've had some of the HK discs, I've actually had the subtitles stop working halfway through, and I had to, and this is the weirdest thing, I would have to reboot my DVD player, I'd have to turn it off and turn it on, and it was because, and somebody told me it was because of bad compression. Because another thing that you should look at is how many discs per episode you're getting. What is about the normal average number of episodes you put on a disc usually?
1 to 6.
It's like 4 to 6 usually, yeah. And like 6 is pushing it if there's extras like opening and closing and trailers and stuff like that. I have, is it the Noir, the bootleg, the HK disc of Noir that has 7 to 10, like the first 2 discs are 7 and then there's a 10 disc or 10 episode disc. What happens when you put too much on a DVD or a CD?
Lose the quality.
It artifacts, because how do you have to do it? You have to do something to it to make it fit. Compress it. Yeah, you have to compress it. And
these are 12 apiece.
12 episodes. Well, you know, with this classy packaging, you're getting something good. But yeah, anytime you try to put more than is on a standard diamond cut DVD, you're gonna have to deal with compression, and that leads to errors. That leads to sometimes the DVD not spinning up correctly. Sometimes that makes problems with the subtitles. So yeah, know what you're looking at. That's one of my biggest things. Like, Colin's a great example because Colin's a big Evangelion fan, and he has what's the Gynax catalog you get every year?
There's a
book.
It's not an every year thing, but they make a catalog that contains all the merchandise that they've made.
Every piece of licensed merchandise of Evangelion, and like that's one of the things I don't go buying a car. Like, I don't invest money in a car that I don't know what it looks like. So like, I would try to get as familiar with merchandise as I could before speaking of which, do you want to move on to CDs since we're talking about familiar merchandising? And so I'll let Colin set this first thing up and I'll talk about CDs for a second. But Colin, who knows about all the Ava merchandise, saw what advertised? What's the name of it?
So I went over this a little bit earlier, but
okay.
It's the Evangelion S2 Works CD collection, which is, they had a whole bunch of other artists do covers of all of the background music from Evangelion, which is super cool, and so I got it, and I didn't know till after the fact that it is a super limited run, so I think they only made a couple thousand total, and the actual thing comes in a cube because it's got a jewel case for every single disc. And as you saw earlier...
Oh, you've already shown the inside, yeah.
You know.
Yeah. Man, it's got a lot of discs in it. There you go.
I haven't roughed this up or broken it since I got it, just so you know.
It's just falling apart.
This is how it came.
Yeah. And now, you had heard of it, but you'd not seen it until after you purchased this, yeah?
Well, I'd heard of it, and I didn't know this was a bootleg until I got it, and then I was like, this seems weird.
Sketchy.
And then I had like searched, I looked up it some more, and that's where I found out that it was the super limited run, and that it was actually supposed to come in the. I don't even know how I'm supposed to put this back together.
So CDs are like one of the things that I still see people getting ripped off the most. Yeah.
Well, what's funny that you mentioned that is that earlier this year I was going through a bunch of my older anime CDs and I was trying to clean stuff up, and I happened to come across a bunch of CDs that I was like, wait a minute, something doesn't look right about these CDs. And my all-time favorite series is Wolf's Rain.
Oh,
and, And I found that the CD that I have, I bought it back in 2005 from like this big distributor on eBay that was selling a whole bunch of CDs at once. And earlier this year, I was looking at the CD and I was like, I've never heard of that record label before. And
who was it?
I can't remember off the top of my
Was it
head.
Sanmei?
But I think it may
Mia
have been.
Recordings? Like,
It was.
I know all of them.
And I looked up the label, and I read this label is a Taiwanese bootleg recording studio. And I'm like,
it's probably Mia. That's Mia Recordings.
It felt like a knife went right through me.
Yeah, that's what's so funny. Like, a lot of the bootleg producers have the nerve to create a logo and like, yep, this is an official Mia release. And when you look up Mia Recordings on Wikipedia, it's like, this is a Taiwanese gray market label that reproduces other people's intellectual property and sell it in China. Mm-hmm. So like, if you look up the label even, it'll say, this is bootleg, this is super bootleg. And the things that we run across on soundtracks are really weird. Like there's a Chrono Crusade, I don't know why I would buy that, but I really wanted the music from Chrono Crusade, and the opening isn't on there. Oh. Who would buy a soundtrack that the opening, unless it was done by like a big rock band, that wouldn't be on there? Yeah. There are video game soundtracks that have accidentally, like from the Mia files, have songs from other shows, like from other games. There is is it Tokyo Panic? I can't remember the game, the really weird PS1 game, but it has a Guitaru Man song in the middle of it. And like, I was like, what is this song? It doesn't even sound like it good. And my friend's like, that's from Guitaru Man. That's like the end of one of the levels of Guitaru Man. So like, I think it's super easy, the people that create bootlegs, it's super easy for them to just throw any kind of garbage on a disc. Did you go over, like, what the whole concept of a bootleg is what? Did you do it? Did you say that?
To make it as cheap as possible.
To make it as cheap as possible, turn the biggest profit, and rip you off. Like, and it's not, I guess they don't do it personally, but like, if they spent the time and money to produce it right, they couldn't make any money. So this is all just a way to rip you off to begin with.
And the other thing is that, like, the actual CD sounds fine. That's the weird thing about it. It actually, it sounds, everything about it sounds great. But
in
again,
some cases, I have had some of the soundtracks that have a little bit of loss because of compression, where it was like a 2-disc set and they shoved as much as they could on one disc. But yeah, it's really hard because a lot of times you can produce a CD pretty cheaply that sounds just as good as the original. Or at least when you don't listen to it on super, fancy system or whatever. And the thing about CDs is a lot of the same things that we tell you to look for on DVDs is it. Like what? What would you look for on a CD? Copyright, trademark, all that stuff. If you don't see any of it, that's a little suspect. I wish I remember there's a number that they have to put on, because the J-Rock CDs are cataloged differently, and there's an 8-digit number that goes on the side, and that's another thing to look for if you don't know what it is. What else, Colin?
Plushies.
Oh, man.
I already told the fiberglass story.
Have you seen, like, one of the other things that I think it helps us be able to identify things is our own internet community. There is a group on Facebook, and if you don't have it, I would recommend you look up Anime Fans Against Bootleg. They showcase some of the ugliest plush I have ever seen. There is a Sephiroth plush that has Raggedy Ann little dot cheeks, the little pink cheeks. I'm pretty sure UFO never made a pink-cheeked Sephiroth. But again, when we talk about like spotting bootleg plush, there's a lot of telltale things to look for. What would those things be? Not fiberglass. You know what's weird? When I ask people what they thought that was filled with, a lot of them they're like anthrax, and I'm like, people can't get a lot of anthrax to fill a plush up with, like asbestos. I'm like, y'all are just trying to be weird, but yeah, I've seen there's some derpy Pokemon out there. There's some really derpy Pokemon. In fact, I don't have it on my phone, but I need to move them somewhere where I can get to them. But we took some pictures of some of the derpiest looking Charizard plush I've ever seen, and it was in Minneapolis. And the guy kept arguing with us. They're like, these are legitimate. These are Pokemon plush. I was like, okay, can we see the tags on them? Well, these don't have tags. They don't come with tags. I'm like, come on. There's not even a fabric tag on it. So there's like there's places that you can look for trademark and copyright, and like Japan has also a thing called Safe Toy Code. A lot of the bigger plush have the ST on it, or the, what is it? Yeah, is that Safe Toy Code? Yeah. And if you don't see this, I'm sure, where's its, I don't want to pull its pants off. Yeah. Oh, actually it's looped through. There is a fabric tag as well. And a lot of the copyright information is on both the fabric tag and the card. So, okay, flying it back to you. They don't fly well either, but that's legit. What else? What can you think of about bootleg plush to look for?
And that's really the only real telltale thing. Like there's other things, but I've seen some real bad official plush too. So
yeah, oh yeah, there's some ugly Oron official plush. I've seen those. Yeah.
I've noticed.
Oh, I'm sorry. Hang on. Yeah.
Really bad fabric material. If it's not like flannel or anything like that, like.
Yes and no. Like there's some, the company UFO. UFO has some older plush that are very poorly made. They have like bangs that fall off. The little felt bangs that'll fall off. So I think if a modern plush, then sure, you should look for a quality fabric. But the other thing is, if it's made to look like the UFO, like the ones that I said that have the cheesy bangs, you can look up the UFO website and see every legitimate plush they've ever put out. So like you can get a listing and you're like, well, they never did this. But crap, there was one I was gonna say right before you said the fabric, huh?
Yes.
Yes.
I noticed there was one, like, thank God I looked at it beforehand, because with, like, Book of the Atlantic coming out with Black Butler, there was, like, a resurgence of, like, all this
Black Butler
fashion
stuff,
and CL stuff. So I looked up online, and there was, like, a plush, and I was like, oh, hey, that'd be really cool, but I'm like, I don't know, like, that looks like kind of an older one, so thank God somebody had, like, I found it online where somebody had bought it before.
Oh, yeah.
And sometimes it'll come with tags, but Sebastian said CL on it.
That's so good.
And it had everything, but it was all labeled for the wrong one, and it was like just weird.
That's
like,
so
like
good.
A weirdly worded copyright thing. So I was like, okay, yeah, nope, thank God.
There's a Twitter account called Best Bootlegs, and we just recently got a Pokemon. It's like a bad, cheap Pokemon, and it's like Pocket Monica, and I was like, what? And I sent it. Of course, I had to send it to Monica. I'm like, there's a game for you to play. Pocket Monica. But her little brother and I used to go to we have a Hong Kong City Mall and we would buy Spider-Man dolls and like stuff like that. So like, I love when you see the name is completely wrong or completely jacked up on something. The what? Oh, I thought you were talking to me. So like, there is one thing that it's not necessarily about plush, but I use this tactic just because if I want to buy plush, let's say maybe I don't know the telltale signs. Another thing that you can do pretty regularly is ask the vendor. And now don't be a jackass about it. Wait until they're not busy and just go, hey, how do I know this is a licensed product? Now, if that person immediately gives you an attitude problem, that's probably not somebody you should buy from. But a vendor that makes their living and their livelihood that's the same thing, selling a certain brand of toys or a certain brand of cards or games or models, don't you think they could take 5 seconds to educate you on how to find a legitimate copy of something? And so, like, if you ask somebody like Eagle Anime, like anybody that works for Eagle Anime, you can say, hey, how do I know this is a legitimate, like there's this free pillowcases that look totally bootleg. And I'm like, that doesn't have a tag on it. Oh, see, these are Japanese prize toys, and you can actually flip them inside out, and like they will take the time to show you what you're buying. Uh-oh. Uh-oh. Oh, it's not. I thought you'd already dunked one of the dolls in there, and she was like in the freezing chamber. We're making soup. Bootleg soup. So yeah, well, it's gonna be worse than that in a second. It is. So yeah, take a second to talk to a vendor and like ask them like, hey, how do I know what I'm getting? And like, the good thing is when you find a vendor that will take the time to explain those things to you, support that vendor. I buy from the same people all the time at conventions. That's why I talk about Eagle Anime. That's why I talk about, Anime Pavilion or a specific vendor. It's because I've always figured out that I could go to them and trust them to, uh-oh, here we go. More liquid nitrogen.
Can I have some?
I was gonna say, you get it, you vape, bro. That gamer girl bathwater. Is that what you said?
How do you recognize bootleg gamer girl bathwater?
Oh man, is it 18? Is this 18 plus? I was gonna say you have to do a biological test on it. If it's free of STIs, it's not that gamer girl bathwater. I didn't say that. That was somebody else that just said that. They ventriloquisted me. So, are we ready to destroy stuff? Yeah. Does anybody? So I know I'm gonna ask this question. It's pointless because we're about to break stuff. Does anybody have anything else they wanted to ask about bootleg? Yes. Uh-oh. You better have a good question.
Oh no. Oh, I had to share about one bootleg.
Yeah. Is it a story?
Well, actually, yeah.
Is it a long story?
Well, it's pretty short. Actually.
Okay. Good.
I've even though I've actually tried searching a lot, finding legit Death Notes, and I know there are some.
They only recently started making the licensed Death Notes.
Yes.
Yeah.
And I've found some of them are so good, but it can't be true because sometimes I've seen one that was actually this was upside down.
Oh yeah.
And this was actually down here.
So, yeah.
And then you have to look. I actually found a really good source. Not that I didn't have a good source, but sometimes the pages.
Yeah.
You have to look in between here, the instructions.
Huh. I always like look again, like with the Death Note stuff, all the bootleg stuff was missing all the telltale signs. There was no copyright, there was no trademark information. It was just, in fact, some of them had Chinese writing on the inside, which I was like, it's probably not very Japanese.
I can't read Chinese. Some Japanese I can do.
Gotcha. And there's one more hand before we break stuff.
What about the eBay story?
Oh God. Don't shop on eBay. There we go. I could quickly say that. The problem with what you see on eBay is very similar to other online resellers, not retailers, but resellers, in the fact that a lot of times what you're looking at, the pictures that you're looking at are not what they're selling you. And so there are people that are eBay like sellers that have pictures of the legitimate product, and when you get it, you get a Ranma that looks like this. And that's not the same thing. So, but yeah, if you have any other questions, we're gonna be sticking around after we break stuff. But I can see Colin is like a cat with a ball of string. Colin is ready to do his evil scientist routine, and we're gonna destroy stuff for you. So, are you ready to show them what our secret surprise is this year? Are you ready? Sure, you're ready.
So, every year we have to try and figure out some new way to destroy bootlegs. It's really cool, and that can put a lot of pressure on you to try and figure that out. So we decided that I'm going to take that pressure and then put it on the bootlegs, because I got a bench top hydraulic press.
Yes. I wish we could play like the song "Tough Enough" right now, because I think yeah, we're about to destroy something.
And I got a GoPro attached right to it.
Oh, that's even better.
I can't wait to see this on YouTube.
I like we can combine frozen things.
Oh yeah.
Hydraulic press.
It's recording now, so.
Okay.
I think they probably cast.
I really want to throw this into the.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, do it. Talk about what this is.
So this is. I don't know what this is.
It's a luggage tag. It's a luggage tag. You put your name and address and blah 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 in here, and you run a little thing through it. But like, this is the creepiest Totoro I think I've ever seen. I love it.
Scary.
He's got some super janky eyes, and he's scared. He's clearly scared. So we're gonna test this and see if it can withstand the torture of the TSA by freezy.
Yeah.
Nice and freezy.
You're not my neighbor anymore.
Oh, are we supposed to have these on?
Oh yeah, we should have.
Safety first. You missed that safety second.
All right. Then you want to put it in the press?
Yeah.
Make sure it's nice and crispy.
Let it
cook.
chill for a
Let
bit.
it marinate.
What? So actually, I'm gonna put this in the press first because I've been waiting.
You can tell Colin's excited about this.
So we got a pencil box here, a Naruto pencil box.
Let me get a close-up of that.
Naruto doesn't have gray hair and a blue suit. As far as I know.
I don't believe it.
Can we see it closer without the shiny? Light?
So,
Get close
have
up
a
with the
staff
camera.
member just come quickly run that around and show people. And while they show that around, actually this thing is chilled enough.
Oh my god.
Oh, one of the janky eyes fell off.
Send it.
The color is already coming off of it.
Well, I'm not reaching in now to get that.
I don't think you
Oh, I'm not getting
Pronounce it
it.
the horrible American way. No, Town.
That feels very clunky now.
It's still lively, apparently.
Oh, it's filled with liquid nitrogen.
Oh god.
It's like
yeah.
floating.
What is eye? That was his eye exploding.
His
Oh yeah,
eye
I
pops out.
exploded off.
Oh yeah, one of them
Alright.
exploded.
Kill
I
it.
did not see that.
Let's
Kill it. Kill it.
Kill it.
Kill it. Kill it.
Kill it. Kill it. Kill it. Kill it. Kill it.
Kill it. Kill it.
I prepped this to fit a DVD, not this thing. So this might be a little bit of prep work here.
Oh no. There we go. He's
Oh
dancing.
yeah!
Yeah.
Fist bullet!
Alright,
Yeah.
Here we go. Do it.
Yeah.
Finish it. Oh god. Finish it. Finish him.
Yes.
Brutality.
What's that?
Fatality on the bootleg.
Press F to first make the turn.
Alright.
Yeah.
Todoroki.
Are you ready to destroy Naruto?
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yes.
Whatever is with the middle.
Yeah, looks good. I think we should go
I
straight
think
down.
Naturo.
Or
Yeah, good. Are you not gonna freeze him first? You're gonna.
I know
stick
it's
him on.
just
Yeah.
metal. It won't
Yeah.
change. But since while we do this, what's something else we can let chill in the literally?
Take
let
one of the
chill?
DVDs out.
I wonder if this necklace will like shatter. This? Can we do it?
Yeah.
All right. I'm terrified. Oh, I guess I'm supposed to be
You're
terrified.
supposed to have the necklace on too. What is it?
Oh wow! Okay, it already looks terrifying. It's bubbling.
What's the necklace from?
It was an Evangelion bootleg of Misato's necklace.
I don't know if that is.
That's featured kids.
Alright. Do you want me to do that?
Murder.
Oh man.
Yeah.
Kill the Asta.
Alright.
Alright, right through the belly.
Belly. I was gonna say it looked like you were
Death to
about
Naturo.
Something else. I was like a little higher, please.
Death to Boruto's uncle.
Finish him.
It's
Look
going,
at
going,
grappling.
going.
Okay, here we go.
Wow.
Wow.
I'm a bit surprised.
Wow.
Resistance is futile.
There we go. Down the hole.
There he goes. I mean, you will be needed.
It's a good workout.
Oh, it's going. It's just, the whole thing's just going down.
I love these things that punch through it. It's just like, well.
Oh my God.
Is that it?
Oh, nope. It's getting tough now.
Oh, is it?
Well, relatively tough. It's
And
still
this
easy.
shoulder
That's
is heavy.
cool.
Yeah, you go ahead.
Come on, Greg.
Alright.
Greg,
This is the right hand. Yeah, this is the right hand.
You go up further, pull down.
It doesn't look like it's moving anymore.
Definitely.
This go. Yeah, okay.
There it
The bell only goes so far.
Oh, now I feel it. Yeah.
I hope that doesn't get stuck. Well, let's release it, see what's going on.
Alright, let's see.
Watch it explode.
One drink spring bag.
This is a 12-ton.
Yeah, that's a little.
Oh yeah, it kept going.
They said such. Doesn't matter.
That just folded.
Ta-da! I don't know how we do this.
Get bent.
Oh, this is crispy. Even the rope is crispy.
Just go straight down.
Yeah, I'm trying to.
Shatter.
It's like putting a penny on a train track.
So much people like that actually.
This?
Yeah.
Hmm.
Alright.
Oh wait, it's getting crispy again. Okay.
Is it hissing?
Yes.
Is there like a demon in there?
Back in the bath.
Should we use a wager board after this?
Okay.
Ouija board?
Go on.
Here we go.
Okay. A Ouija board?
A Ouija board.
It's already so
I want to
flat.
see if it either shatters or whether it'll just squish it.
Well, then maybe we should stand back a little bit.
That's why I did.
Here we
Alright,
go.
here we go. Is it gonna shatter or is it gonna squish?
It's gonna shatter.
Shatter, squish,
Let's
shatter,
take a poll right now.
squish.
Squish.
Shattered.
Shatter.
He
Who
shattered.
said shatter?
Shatter.
Oh, is it squishing?
Maybe.
Maybe squishing.
I hear something.
Oh, it's doing something. It is. It's bouncing up.
Hold on.
Fighting
Give me
back.
a second. There we go.
Ah, that's what. Okay. I was gonna say it's gotta be.
Oh yeah.
Oh,
Oh yeah.
Yeah, here it
Oh
goes.
yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Shatter, squish.
Well, now I'm real scared.
Shatter.
Squish.
Shatter.
Shatter. Squish.
Yeah,
Like all my hopes and dreams.
it's squishing.
Ah.
Oh wow.
Wow. Is that it? Let's see. Yeah, I think that's it. Oh wow. It is like a penny on a train track. Wait. How do you do it? You twist it up?
Yeah, don't let it go too high up though.
Yeah.
Yeah, to the left, yeah.
Oh my god. It's the shape of Texas. That's pretty awesome.
Oh, I wish I still had
That's
some of
so
those.
good.
Wish I had those
I'd buy that for $1.
That's so funny. Okay, what's next?
Do you want to do like a DVD?
Yeah,
like a
yeah.
whole,
Do a whole case.
Ooh, let's see.
I feel like.
Oh
This
wow.
for the liquid
Oh yeah. Oh wow, a VHS.
Oh
yeah.
Let's just put the.
How many of you know what a VHS is? Okay, just checking.
There we go.
My childhood is going in this path.
That's satisfying.
This is ASMR.
Boom.
You have to cook it on both sides.
Welcome back to Binging with Greg.
Binging, yeah. I gotta get up one Oh, wrong. I had the wrong button. Go. Now I can cook. Now I have proper utensils.
I have one too if we need it.
There, that's one way to do it. Here. Oh yeah, okay, yeah. Oh, there's still Totoro's eye is still in here too.
He's watching you.
Are you ready to?
Mr. Rogers something.
This will probably shatter.
Can you see the tape inside still? Is it like?
It's it's still there.
Yeah. I was wondering if it might have snapped. Oh man.
How do we do this?
Let's.
Do we put it on?
Yeah, let's do this like right on. Oh, look at the wheels.
Yeah. All right.
Right.
But if it's
Let's do this. Oh wow, this was just near the liquid nitrogen. It's now very cold.
Oh wow.
Here we go.
It's gonna poke a hole right through it.
Oh, here it goes. Oh. See, this is why we have to make sure we're big yet.
There she blows.
There she goes. There she goes.
Sounds like somebody's breaking a piano.
I know what that's making that thing look good.
Sounds like my back every morning when I wake up.
When a piano breaks, it sounds like a gunshot.
But it's weird,
I've heard one.
like as it was breaking. I think that was the press though. Oh,
There is room to do.
Yeah.
Let's go like right.
Yeah, on the spinner, yeah.
Put it between the bricks.
Put it between the bricks. Sandwich it.
Sandwich it between the bricks.
Yeah. Yes.
Let's do that after.
Do it.
Okay, yeah. We'll
Because
do
there's
it
a whole
after.
other side.
All right, yeah. There's one. Yeah, well, there's another side we can do. All right.
Look how
You
white
can't
that
see
tape
we've
is.
got it right on the spinner.
Oh, just because one is look how white the whole tape is.
Wow, I know.
Frost.
Oh.
Wait, everyone whisper. It's ASMR.
Let's see.
Destruction 100.
Oh wow, there's a piece stuck in it. That's so good. Now do you want to put the two bricks?
put what's left between the two bricks.
Here. Hang on. Gotta raise it up a little bit.
Bootleg Destruction 101.
Wow, it's still really cold.
I feel like we should
Alright.
queue up Symphony of Destruction.
Oh, we got it.
It's still going up.
Okay. I was like, I probably shouldn't put my hand in the press.
Do not do that.
I don't think that's just
exciting.
Like a little kid now. Oh yeah. Let's see what this does.
Does it need everybody more?
I think we're out. Yeah, I think we're out of
Get a little bit more liquid nitrogen.
juice. Yeah.
Just turn that off and I'll pour it right on there.
Oh wait. Okay. Yeah. It's like tape.
That's how mommy and daddy remember the present.
Yeah. It's like Christmas tinsel.
See what happens. What's it doing? Just like crumpling.
It is.
And now it's uncrumpling. It's like gotten used to the cold.
I didn't know it was a frozen disc.
This is kind of creepy looking. Pick these up.
I'm not saying it's aliens, but it's aliens.
Oh, but it doesn't change the state of them much.
There's nothing that can freeze, I guess.
Listen,
I mean,
people
but I
are
mean, I
making
wouldn't
touch
movies
these.
too.
No, yeah, this is okay. So do we want to put this back in before we double smash it, or
Ooh,
smash
do
it?
we? Yeah, put it back in
Back
real
in for a
quick.
sec. Yeah. Oh wait.
Do
Oh,
some
no,
Reminds me of my
it's
son a
not,
few
oh,
years
and it's
ago.
not cold. That's weird.
Oh, huh.
That's super weird. Oh, but the side of that bowl was.
I guess.
It's like a barbecue. Only I'm doing like the worst dad job ever. Oh. Oops.
Should've worn the white
Wow,
shoes.
dude, look at it. It's like shooting up.
So that was bubbling.
Flip it.
Gotta get both sides.
This ought to be pretty good.
Look at this with a wooden case.
What? Oh my gosh. Are you gonna freeze that and make it?
I think so. This is a really weird Higurashi bootleg with a wooden case.
What?
I don't know. Hit this.
Alright. We go. And the other brick.
Other brick.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hold it, please.
Oh, yeah.
This gonna be good.
Here we go.
That's the most delicious sandwich I've ever seen.
Oh, it's right here. Wow.
Actually, take that first.
Ah. Looks pretty.
There you go.
Yeah. No, I can't get it off. There we go. Alright. Oh
There
god.
we go.
Yeah. Oh god. Well.
Yes, rock.
Oh.
Oh yeah. Come on. Ah.
Put your back into it.
You can do it.
That's so crazy. Yeah.
You guys want to
Are you sure there's not a Nokia phone in there?
No, it's just Game Boy.
Don't
bend the frame. Is it even going down?
No, I think that's it. You got it. Oh. Let's see. I'm more. It's just it's in there.
Yeah.
It's kind of crumpled.
Oh.
Bryce never seen this thing.
The table's gonna be right here in a minute.
Yeah, it's not
No, it's not
All
bad.
right, let's see what we got.
Oh my god. I was like, that's gonna flip over and this is gonna splash on me. And I'm gonna look like something from Frozen. I will not be shouting let it go. I'm shouting things I can't say in here.
Actually, I believe it's after 7.
Yes, it is.
It's true.
It's almost 8.
All right.
Okay, so.
Yes, we have 10 minutes. 13.
It didn't do anything.
What?
Well, it's a hard one to crack.
Well.
Oh, it was the impossible to kill tape.
Oh, that's what it was. It was the tape.
Apparently the tape's fucking
Okay, we'll win.
Gymnastics, I give it a 10.
Right?
10 out of
I
10.
can't believe this tape is like indestructible.
Well, I don't think this will hold up as well.
No, we should be fine. You want to throw it in?
Oh yeah.
Point to the wall.
I just love the sound it makes while it's cooking.
It's so cold that it's hot.
Oh yeah. It's not a pumpkin.
Oh wow, it's already
Binging
falling
with
apart.
Babish would be proud.
Oh god.
Wow, it's really just falling apart.
It's like my life.
Wow, this is
I
like.
try to have fun.
Whoa, Monday.
It's so bad I can't get a hold of it.
That's what she said.
Jeez. Big goof for these trying times.
After the chat.
There we go. This should shatter. Like 2 pumps.
Why are we talking about me? Here we go.
Yes, yes, yes.
So all the discs are still in there.
Oh, wow.
So let's see how it
This will be
is.
fun. Cover my coffee.
What, you don't want iced coffee?
Hey, close the door.
Oh.
Oh.
It looks like it's punching a hole through it. It is.
Thanos would be proud of their way.
It's like someone's got this
That's so good.
It's stuck to it.
That's so good.
What? After the chat.
There you go.
It's like a more.
Oh, I think can we dip it? Can we dip it?
So the one thing, I think it might already come apart if we dip it.
So
Remember-
just smush it?
Yeah, we can dip it and then smoosh the remaining pieces.
Okay, well, I'm trusting you. So do we put it in the
Oh,
little
what is
thing?
it? What is it? What is
Oh,
it?
you're just gonna dip
I'm
it. It's
just
just a keychain here.
It's like a
Let's
little Koga keychain from Inuyasha.
see. We're just gonna drop it in.
Yeah.
All right.
Drop the waifu.
Oh wow, it is the colors coming off of it already. Wow, it feels like glass now.
What color is underneath?
Double plates.
This would be a fun one to sandwich between the 2 things.
Oh,
Yes.
okay.
Yes.
This is going to shatter for sure. Oh yeah.
That's fine.
You should have explained it.
Oh, ponytails all up already.
Fashion disaster.
Like, is it just gonna break when I put the...
Have someone to glove hold it until like the presses.
Just breaking it, she falls out.
Dance, Koga, dance!
Here we go.
She tried to save
I
herself.
think you may have to just squish her.
Until it goes...
Oh, until you get on top of it, yeah.
Oh, these are cold.
It's a no for me, dog.
That's a no for me, dog. Whack. Its face fell off.
Just dropped.
Here we go.
Alright.
Oh, the face is.
Here we go. This is it. Cover your coffee.
That was really mind-blowing.
Your GoPro turned the other
It
way.
has a lot in common with Kirk being now.
GoPro is
Here goes the body.
There we go.
Hide the body.
Put it in a hydraulic.
I just really want to show.
I think it's warmed up enough now. It's just
It's
gonna
actually
flatten.
someone made it.
Here it goes.
Oh, it is squishing. Look at the shape of Texas.
It's alive! It's alive!
Oh, that's it.
Yeah, that's it.
Yep.
Go.
Let's see if it's got that flubber action.
Is he done or is he rare? I'm excited.
Like a little paper doll. That's, I think, my favorite one we've done ever. I'm gonna keep this. It's so good.
What else have we got?
Alright. These don't freeze well. Are those the posters?
These are the posters, but could we just like kind of punch through some? I don't know if it'll stay.
I don't try. I don't.
What about the umbrella?
Oh!
We could, yeah.
Yes.
I know it's bad luck, but I want to see what it looks like.
Same. Because
What
I saw
the
that in
F?
Sailor Moon and it excited me.
So how do you want this in there? Just like ooh.
Let's just like throw it right in. Just...
Wait, what's
I
the
wanna see the
design?
Oh God. I don't know that it'll open. Let me see. Will it open? Yes.
Oh!
Oh, God. I don't get it all the way. Oh, okay, maybe. Oh, there we go.
I hate that so much.
Wow.
Looks like I don't know that it'll fold up now. There we go. Ow!
Is that a Sailor Moon?
Oh wow, sorry. Like,
That's a sailor no.
alright.
Wedged in there.
Yeah, I think.
Sailor no too.
Did it sure.
Oh.
Here we go. Here we go.
Moving.
Hear it.
Crack it.
That's crack-a-lackin'.
Wow, umbrella anatomy looks
There
great.
it goes. Well, I think we're going past the umbrella and through the fabric.
No. Oh, it is. It moves.
You missed it. Yep.
And missed
Yeah,
it.
missed. Okay, wait. There's a will. Let it up.
I'm sure smelling something from this.
Oh God. A little bit more. Oh, it's stuck. Hang on. Oh, there we go.
And
Now you got to
Yeah, it
open.
doesn't. Oh, it won't open now. Okay, let's see.
Close the clip.
Okay. Let's see.
See what happens if you freeze it.
Freeze it?
Yeah.
That color's gonna come right off like.
Oh, there is.
in the meantime, we can try and bend this back into the shape.
Back in this shape. Oh, it's getting brittle.
It's getting crunchy.
Sounds like paper.
That's what,
Yeah.
that's what it feels like.
Wow.
It almost sounds like a raincoat.
It does sound like a raincoat.
This isn't what you want.
Very interesting.
Are you gonna try to bend it back?
Yeah.
Yeah! Yeah!
Well, now that I know that it wasn't fully tightened the first time we went through it.
That's so funny. Alright.
There we go. Oh, it's opening up.
Oh.
Just
I'm
a
telling
little
you, it's
pressure
open up.
feeling.
This is kind of want it now that it's actually bent.
Tell it this isn't a therapy session.
Tell it not to get so bent out of shape.
Okay, boomer.
Doll. I don't see
I think
it.
it went over there somewhere.
Oh, it's part of
It's like
it.
in the wires.
Oh.
Oh.
I know he's gonna.
I heard something.
I believe it. Will it bend?
Oh, it sure will.
Let's not believe it. It's
Metal
the
bend.
metal.
They're metal benders.
There it goes. Goodbye.
Sorry, Naruto.
I kind of want That'd be interesting. That'd be
Yep.
It's still going?
I can feel it.
Oh yeah, it's sliding.
Some people will just bend and not break, no matter how hard you try.
Yeah.
Where there's a will.
Oh yeah, no, this is still going down.
It's still moving, but it doesn't look like it's going anywhere.
Is this what happens when the unstoppable force meets the immovable object?
Is it metal, metal?
We'll just start hearing Bootleg nerds. That was a terrifying sound. It was him crying out for help. Talk about vengeance
Press the
now.
umbrella. I don't want to touch this with my hands at all. Oh,
Get the gloves.
oh, there we go. Yeah, probably just gonna have to pick up the gloves. Alright.
Oh god.
Wow, it's like
That's some weird rain.
smoke.
Now it's not good.
It sounds like
Needle it down.
Right?
It sounds like wrapping paper.
I know, right?
It looks like wrapping paper too.
Alright.
The descent.
The descent. I'm gonna hang on to it this time.
Pterodactyl noises.
Alright.
So sick.
You're in the center of it now. Alrighty. Oh yeah, you got it. Oh, you punched through it. Hang on. Well, no, you've got the frame of it, so.
Crunch.
Oh yeah.
Crunch time.
Oh, there we go.
Yeah.
There it goes. Oh. Oh no, its little spider legs broke off. Oh yeah, because now I think that's it. Alright, let's see.
Pop this back open.
Quick, it's raining. I need an umbrella. Wait. Wait, it's raining on my head. I need an umbrella. Ooh, wait, I should have touched my hand. Hang on, wait.
I'm Mary Poppins, y'all.
I don't think it's gonna work quite as well.
That's so good. Look at this.
You wanna do the Ranma?
Oh yeah, we can. The bad. That's like a broom now. All right.
Pour the liquid nitrogen on top.
Yeah. All right. This is a HK Ranma season 3. It's $21. That sounds legit.
Was it $19.99?
Oh my god, I love this sound.
Well, there is Maine sales tax.
Oh god.
For $19.99, you get the SC TV version.
Yeah. Oh.
I mean poop. Alright.
Please do not try this at home.
Hang on, it's not done. It's like popcorn, you have to wait till it's like 3 seconds apart between the cracks. Alright. Alright. Alright.
Murder, 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 murder.
Murder. Oh, is it me?
It's
I
yours.
do this one always.
C and
Let me
CD
get it right in the
stands for
center. I love that itch, but not so I have to rub your fingers. There we go. Let's see. Alright. Alright. Oh, here it comes.
Oh. Every time it gets touched, there's
Still coming though. I love that it's still smoking.
Through the bottom of it.
It's like raining
Coming
out
yeah,
the bottom
there
of
it
the
goes.
press.
There it
goes.
goes.
As it shoots little icicles out of the top. Here we go. I think that's it.
That's it.
Alright. So funny.
The saddest little
Come on.
Tap, tap, taparoo.
There we go.
Alright. Thank you for coming to Bootleg Bomber. I know what we're doing next year, but I'm not telling you.
Okay. So we'll see y'all upstairs in just a little bit for the dance, and I promise I won't break things up there. That's so funny. Should I get a picture?
What are you guys gonna do if you crush it?
Oh, I don't know.
Oh, that's it for Bootleg Bomber, guys. So, hope you guys enjoyed.